So, hat einer mir gesagt, das ist live oder was? Ich sehe noch nichts auf X. Ich sehe noch nichts. Ist live. Ja, Digga, wirklich, Alter, ihr Gott. Ah, Digga, warte mal. Live auf X.
All right. Welcome to the conversation with Alice Weidel, who is, I believe, currently the leading candidate to run Germany. I think
Elon, hörst du mich?
most popular in
Elon?
the polls.
Elon?
Welcome,
Hallo?
Alice. Thank
Bist du
you
da?
for joining Spaces, and
Elon?
I look forward to this discussion. And perhaps we could start by outlining, if you could outline what AFD's platform is, what are the main things you're aiming for, where does Germany need change, and just to educate people who have never heard of AFD or AfD, if it would be German.
Or AfD in Germany.
And
Yeah.
because a lot of people, especially in America, have never heard of AFD, so perhaps this would be very helpful.
Okay. Thank you very much, Elon, for having me and to give this opportunity to openly speak about different matters. Let me just, can you hear me?
No.
I can, yes.
Hello? Alice?
Perfect.
Hello? Ich
Perfect.
würde diese Rollen jetzt. Alice? Hallo?
To start
Alice,
with,
are you there?
who we are.
Alice?
The AfD is
Hello?
the alternative for Germany.
Technical problems.
It is a
Alice?
relatively new party, founded 11 years ago during the course of the Euro problems.
Euro problems.
So, unfortunately, I have to start when I shed some light on our party with the quite negative circumstances in Germany. Our country is a great country with highly motivated people, but our country has been governed not in a proper way within the last 20-25 years.
Great country,
we
great
had
country we are.
the
Great
Angela
country
Merkel
we have.
administration for 16 years, and then
Apolulu,
the
Grüße,
so-called
hello.
traffic
Thank you
light
for your
coalition
sub,
that
Apolulu.
imploded
Thank you
last
for your
year,
follow.
and now we're heading elections. In my point of view, Angela Merkel, the first Green Chancellor, she ruined basically our country. She enforced, without asking the people, she enforced to open our borders for illegal immigration in 2015.
The Green
She
Chancellor.
wrecked and destroyed our backbone in terms of obnoxious energy policy. For the foreign listeners here in this audience, Germany is the only industrial country that unplugged the nuclear power plant. So the aim of Angela Merkel was to enforce just solar and wind energy.
Solar and wind
And
energy.
you don't need to be very smart to encounter that you cannot run an industrial country with just wind and solar.
With just wind and
because
solar.
you don't have any energy and electricity when the sun doesn't shine and when the wind doesn't blow. And this is a major problem.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm a big fan of solar energy, but clearly, if a country is at a very high latitude, then the amount of solar power in the winter is going to be substantially reduced. And then, of course, there's a difference in the day-night cycle of energy usage. So a lot of power can be done with solar and with large-scale grid energy batteries, but it must be supplemented with other forms of power
Mit Kernenergie.
There's not a lot of sunshine in the middle of winter in Germany. So the solution obviously must be a multifaceted solution where there is certainly renewables, but also there does need to be some amount of fossil fuel energy and especially nuclear. I think nuclear is very much underrated. I think it was tragic for Germany to shut down the nuclear power plants. In fact, they're very well designed. And I think that the right move is, in fact, to increase the amount of nuclear power substantially in Germany. This would be great. And
Digga, ich will keine
Yeah.
Atomkraftwerke, du Schwanz.
Yes, absolutely. That
Nein!
was the reason why I wanted to shed some light on the current situation. So in order to form an opinion what our party stand for, because this is exactly what you said. We stand for a
Absolutely. Yes,
energy
absolutely,
supply
Elon.
diversification.
Yes,
we cannot
Elon.
run a industrial country like Germany.
Elon, did you know I'm gay?
Still strong manufacturing base. To tell you the truth, our manufacturing production, it peaked in 2018 and it plummeted since then due to high energy costs. And you cannot run a country like that. So therefore, we say, look, we need to be technology open and we need to reinforce again nuclear power plants because nuclear energy supply is carbon free,
cooked.
right?
Wir sind
So
Yes.
therefore, we would also reduce our carbon footprint, which is obnoxiously very, very high. And this is
Digga,
the
Minot,
entire
da redet
irony
gerade einfach
about
Alice
it.
Weidel mit dem
So,
reichsten Menschen des
our
Planetens auf seiner
governments,
gekauften
like the Angela
Social-Media-Plattform
Merkel
über
government and the
Nuklearkraftwerke, Bruder.
so-called,
Peil mal bitte, wo wir sind,
ridiculous,
Digga.
traffic
Digga, wo
light,
bin ich hier?
coalition, they
Ich wollte
enforced
leben.
a green policy upon our country that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we would like to go
Digga,
back
ich
to
weiß nicht,
technology
Bruder, ich
openness
weiß
here.
nicht.
Yeah, I
Was
think that makes a lot of
passiert hier,
sense. I mean,
Bruder?
my
Das ist
recommendation,
real,
and
oder?
I said this
Kneif mich
publicly
mal einer.
before, is that Germany should not merely reopen the nuclear power plants, but substantially increase the
Digga, wo ist
the
Rito,
power
wenn man ihn
generation.
braucht? Der ist irgendwo auf
The-
Schmerzmittel und schießt
the-
sich raus. Der hat schon lange aufgegeben, der Bengel.
In the same space, meaning without increasing the size of the nuclear power plant in any meaningful way, without increasing the amount of land area that it uses, you can dramatically increase the power output of a nuclear power station because the actual core part of the power station is extremely tiny. People don't quite realize just how small the center core of a nuclear power plant is.
Digga, jetzt reden die
It's
wirklich
like
über
Yes.
Atomkraftwerke.
amazingly
Ich
tiny.
pack's
And
nicht.
so you can actually, in the same land area, no increased land area,
Drakon, wo bist du?
dramatically increase the amount of nuclear power that any given nuclear
Ich weiß
power
nicht, was für
station
eine
is producing.
Timeline, Bruder. Ich habe keinen Bock mehr.
You need a water source to run the steam turbines, but really
Digga.
far more power output is possible than people.
Sehr sorry, Digga, wirklich. Ey, ich finde die Timeline, in der wir leben, eigentlich, Digga, weil so technischen Fortschritten so angeht, ganz geil. So zu Hause rumpimmeln mit so technischen Geräten, Sachen gucken und so, das geht ultra hart. Aber warum ficken wir uns? Digga, hier redet Alice Weidel mit Elon Musk über Nuclear Power Plants, Alter. Digga, wo sind wir denn hier, Leute? Hallo, rafft ihr das? Digga, was geht denn hier ab?
Yeah, absolutely. But
Absolutely,
you know
Elon.
what?
Absolutely.
So just let me do just like one more example, because like wind turbines, wind energy, in comparison to nuclear power supply, is highly inefficient. Also, in terms of land use. So, for instance, I give one example just to shed some light on it. If you were to replace one nuclear power plant, let's say like Emsland nuclear power plant here in Germany, with an annual electricity production of 10 billion kilowatt per hour, with modern wind turbines.
Hol das Emsland zurück, Alter. Emsland wieder aufrüsten, Alter. Nukleare Vormacht im Emsland, Alter. Los.
1,250 wind turbines just to replace this one power plant, and with a rotor diameter of 70 meters and the minimum distance from large wind farms, you end up around with like 100 square kilometers. For example, this corresponds to half of the major city of Stuttgart, right? So this entire thing, and just to stress the fact again, you don't need to be very smart just to do your calculations.
Yes.
Yeah, das merkt man.
But
really,
our energy
policy. I mean, that's
what?
the crazy
Sorry?
thing. The crazy thing is like a bunch of these energy questions. You do not need to be like a world leading physicist. It's very basic math, like high school, less than high school level math. I'd say middle school math even. It's very straightforward, not complicated.
Yes, absolutely. And
yes,
then
absolutely.
during the,
Math is very great here in East Germany,
yeah.
Alter. Sorry.
Sorry?
No, please
Sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So during the war of Ukraine, so
Ukraine?
our gas supply was just destroyed.
Draconia hinhören, Ukraine.
Actually shed some light on our severe dependence on Russian gas. And do you know what the government decided in this crisis when the energy prices skyrocketed after we were cut off of
Nord
cheap
Stream?
energy supply from Russia?
Actually,
They
this was
switched
very...
off the
yes.
last nuclear power plant to
Boah.
even more create a shortage of energy.
Yeah.
Shortage,
So
yes,
either
yes.
you must be very stupid,
Yes.
or
To be in the
you just
AfD.
hate your own
Also.
country.
Well,
Isn't it?
I think it's mostly the very stupid category. At least I like
Very stupid.
Digga,
I mean,
wie lachst du,
there's an old
Schwanz,
saying that, like,
Wadak?
one should never ascribe to malice that which can easily be explained by incompetence.
Yes, you're perfectly right now. So
But yes, I actually, when I saw that Germany was turning off the power plants after being cut off from gas supplies, from Russia, I thought this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Just when Germany most needs electricity,
yes.
Germany is shutting down one of the best sources of electricity, which is nuclear power.
Yes.
Crazy.
And
Yes,
completely
actually.
carbon free.
Yeah,
Yes,
crazy.
actually. Yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
This is crazy, Elon.
So
crazy,
I
Elon.
guess
Yes?
if to summarize the two main things that AfD is aiming for in terms of change is a sensible energy policy and sensible immigration policy.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, jetzt. Ausländer.
But actually even more. So we would like, if I may continue a little bit, because now it's Elon, it's a complete new situation for me. That I just can have a normal conversation and I'm not interrupted or negatively framed, how that has been in the media the case in the last 10 years, which is completely ridiculous. So what we also stand for, since we are a conservative libertarian party, so at
Elon,
least
das
we
erste
see
Mal
ourselves
hört mir
like
einer
this,
zu,
but we
Elon.
are extremely
Elon,
negatively framed as a so-called extremist party by the mainstream media. So we just say, look, we need to reduce bureaucracy. We need to free our firms, our companies, the individuals of this obnoxious bureaucratic conditions here. Yeah. Do you know, like, how long it takes, how many days it takes to get a business permit in Germany? Just get.
Yes, I heard of this. Alice, do you know how many Chinese it takes to build a Tesla? Huh? Do you know? I know this because in Tesla work in Pingjiang, we go build...
near Berlin. So we had many challenges. I mean, this is, to be clear, like we actually had a lot of support, a lot of local support from the local government, from the national government, and
what is the support of the government?
Rules that.
Eine Sekunde reingeklickt nach Karls Grußvideos, direkt verliebt und gefolgt. Bester Mann aus Heaven, First Time Chatter, ey, Atze der. Yalla.
Permit. And it had to be all printed on paper.
25,000.
Yes, I think maybe more than that.
Labert ihn doch nicht voll, Mann.
And then there had to be many copies made. So it literally was a truck of paper. Because we're like, surely we can make this electronic, isn't that better for everyone?
Not possible. You need to have that on paper.
And they say,
Elon, you're so sweet, Elon.
Like, this is crazy. This is only a few years ago. It's not the distant past. I mean, it's like we're well into the we're a quarter of the way through the 21st century. It's like, guys, 25,000 actual printed pages, and then I believe every page needed to be stamped with a physical stamp. I mean, honestly, it's going to really tire somebody out to do so much stamping.
Yeah.
They're going to get some sort of repetitive stress injury. Yeah, they're going to get a repetitive stress injury from having to stamp so many.
Stress injuries.
It's like just send him to the hospital or something. I mean, that's too much.
Die Lachen geben mir das
So,
absolute Böse, der.
Mug of paper.
I'm not trying to blame the sort of individuals who are doing this time because they are just following the rules. So we have to change the rules, and there needs to be, I think, in my view, for all countries, but especially countries that have enjoyed prosperity for a long time, it is extremely important to have what I call sort of garbage collection of rules, which is to re-examine the rules and regulations. And make sure that they are clearly a net good, and if there's any doubt about them being a net good, we should eliminate them, because otherwise we get to this point where everything is illegal, and so it's just absolutely crazy.
Digga, ihr seid crazy, absolut.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And it's not only about bureaucracy, it's also about taxes. Germany has a higher
Texas?
Yes.
Of all OECD.
Was hat denn Texas damit zu tun?
So the normal German employee, he works more than half of a year for the state. You have to imagine that.
Für Texas arbeiten wir das halbe Jahr.
With Texas.
Digga, wir arbeiten das halbe Jahr für Texas. Jetzt macht auch alles Sinn, Alter. Digga, das ganze Geld, die heulen rum wegen Fahrradwegen in Peru, Alter. Digga, wir arbeiten das halbe Jahr für Texas, Alter. Ist das krank, Junge. Und das muss ich von Alice Weidel erfahren, Alter. Bei Elon Musk ist das krank.
For the people here.
Yeah.
So he doesn't provide for security. So we have like skyrocketing criminal rates here.
Right.
Probably Syrian and Afghan people.
He doesn't care about education. So we have this same insane, wokish, leftish, socialist agenda in our educational system. So the young people, they don't learn anything in school, in university, etc. So they just learn about gender studies.
Are you serious?
And they just, yeah.
Gender studies.
I was under the impression that Germany had a pretty good education system that was quite rigorous with the gymnasium and all that sort of stuff.
Gymnasium.
At least it used to at one point. So
yes.
But it sounds like this has I don't know, the woke mind virus has infected Germany quite badly.
Yeah.
Mind virus.
Yeah. So you have the international standard of PISA testing, right? So the PISA survey.
Right.
So Germany, like a couple of years ago, was okay scored.
Okay.
But now, so we just plummeted because the survey showed that young people are not able to properly do math or speak or write German. And in some states here in Germany, you have to imagine they just abolished the writing grades in terms to get the language grade, right? So you don't need to write German properly anymore because our entire educational system has been deteriorating.
They demolishing the whole language because they want to get the language grade, They want to get the language right. Was laberst denn du, Alter?
Because they want to have a proper education and they want to have back a proper educational system that provides the young people with capabilities. And that is also the reason why so my personal opinion is that we have to go back to a merit-based system, right? So we need to go back to a merit-based incentive system. And to go away from all this socialist gender things being in our educational system.
Right.
The families and the parents, they have the responsibility of their children. And the schools and the university, they have the responsibility to give good education.
About Hitler and the other stuff you did in the past. Yeah, we get education at universities, but not about gender gaga.
I mean, the whole point of going to school is to learn useful skills that help you in life, help you be productive and understand the world. Otherwise, it's not a school. It's just a propaganda institution.
True.
Yeah. So.
Die machen Schule zu einer Propaganda-Institution und die sagt, true, Schule ist eine Propaganda-Insticker.
Because I was just giving an example of the educational system where the state fails because our state, the government, collected in the last year a record high of income tax. So they collected above 1 trillion, right, of euros.
1 trillion of euros, right?
Wow.
But the state, they cannot handle taxpayers' money. So what do?
They can't handle the money. They can give it to me.
Throw the money out of the window for immigration in our social system, for instance. So since 2015, just to give you some numbers and also the audience to have an idea what's going on here in Germany. So we had an influx of almost 7 million people, but these are the officially counted. So
7 million people? Wow. Okay.
7 million people of influx since 2015 officially counted.
Wow.
And then because the people, they just another funny numbers. Our state allows people to throw away their passports before they cross our borders that are not protected and controlled. So 57%, almost 60% of the people coming into our country through an open border, they throw away their papers. Why do they do that? Because once entered our country, our funny country, with this funny immigration policy, they cannot be deported anymore. So that's the reason why. So our state, our government, like the Angela Merkel government and the last one, they proclaimed a policy that everyone can choose to cross our border to immigrate into our social security system and cannot be deported afterwards because they threw away their passports.
This is crazy.
Like how insane is that?
Well, it is very insane, but that's exactly what's happened in the U.S. I mean, clearly, there's a sort of a sort of a far left agenda that's being pushed throughout
Far left
Western civilization,
agenda.
any place they
Far
can go,
left
because the exact same thing was done in the U.S. where. And now they're sort of calling people illegal immigrants. They call them undocumented. And the reason they're undocumented is because they threw away their passport, just like you're talking about. In fact, if you, on the Mexican side of the border in the U.S., there's a giant pile of discarded passports and driver's licenses, like a huge pile.
Unbelievable.
Because it's actually worse to come in with a passport than to come in with nothing. And then, just like in Germany, the Democrat government then gives massive amounts of money and support to what they call undocumented. But if they're undocumented, we actually have no idea if they are a murderer, rapist. We have no idea because they have no documents, so we can't actually tell. And so, as a result, there's been a massive influx of criminals into the U.S. And frankly. I mean, I'm wondering what's taking criminals so long to come here. I mean, this is America's a target-rich environment. It's you can in America. It's so easy to steal things in these wealthy neighborhoods. It's like the only thing that is going to slow down how much you can steal is if your back hurts from carrying out all the goods. You know, it's like, 'cause you're just like
Alter
you're not a robber,
Bruder.
you're just a moving company. It seems like all the world's criminals should just come to America on that basis, because it's it's much easier
Tobi, Digga,
to
du
be a
bist
career
aus
criminal
Nevada,
in
Digga.
America than
Tobi,
it is
Digga, wie oft
in
werden
other
bei dir
countries
die
where
ganzen Möbel rausgetragen, Digga? Die ganzen Leute können doch gar nicht mehr die Möbel tragen vor Rückenschmerzen. Du musst doch da leben in der Ruine in Nevada, Digga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May I ask a question
Of
on
course,
that?
yeah.
So I read that, for instance, in California, by the way, I'm very sorry what's happening there. It's terrible. It's really terrible to see. It's terrible. But in the case of California, that they just lifted the prosecution of theft because you have so many cases of theft. Is it true?
Yes, the de facto situation in California is that theft is almost never prosecuted. It's maybe 1 or 2, maybe 1% of the time is theft prosecuted, and even when it is prosecuted, the criminals are let out on bail immediately. So basically, theft is legal in California.
Guten Abend, Digi. Danke fürs Follow, Mann.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Now, there was recently a referendum in California to.
Bruder, die schieben einfach jetzt das Gefängnissystem in den Vereinigten Staaten von Amerika, Digga, und dass die da komplett guckt sind in ihrem der Strafsystem, Digga, auf Ausländer. Das ist so crazy, auf Mexikaner, Digga, an der Grenze. Das ist so krank.
To steal anything under $1,000, which means people could just walk into a store at $1,000 at a time and take out anything they want. And if the storekeeper stopped them, the storekeeper would be arrested. So this is literally like the Joker and Batman. It's like the criminals, are in charge, and the honest citizens are arrested. It's just completely insane. Now, like I said, the people in California did vote overwhelmingly to make theft illegal again.
Ich verstehe.
But astonishingly, the governor of California, Governor Newsom,
Ich verstehe auch nichts von dem, was die sagen. Ich sage nur manchmal irgendwas. Der sagt Batman, ja, diesen guckt, Bruder.
Just implemented?
Yeah, well, no, but what they're going to do is, even though it is technically illegal again, the sort of far left will refuse to enforce it. So because you really need two things for something to work, for laws to work. You need both the law and you need enforcement of the law. And if you don't have, so, I mean, this is something that George Soros really figured out. I mean, he's sort of a brilliant guy, but honestly very
George Soros, a brilliant guy.
In my opinion, is that you don't actually need to change the law. You just need to stop enforcement of the law, and that does the trick. So, I think there is somewhat of a reawakening in the U.S. and I think even in California, people are tired of this. And they want change, and I think that's really if you say like why people are wondering like why did
Schokobrötchen, bro.
Why did Donald Trump win? And it wasn't just a small victory. In the U.S. elections this year, President Trump won the Electoral College. He also won the popular vote, majority of the people, and the House is Republican and the Senate is Republican. What this says is the American people are demanding change. They're being very clear. And my recommendation for the people in Germany is to do the same. If you are unhappy with the situation, you must vote for change. And that is why I'm really strongly recommending that people vote for AfD. That's my strong recommendation. And I think this is simply the sensible move. I think Alice Beadle's a very, very reasonable person, and hopefully people can tell just from this conversation, like nothing outrageous is being proposed, just common sense. So, in fact, I, as I've said publicly, I think only AfD can save Germany. And I just want to be very clear about that. Only AfD can save Germany. End of story. And people really need to get behind the AfD, and otherwise things are going to get very, very much worse in Germany.
Yes, because you rightly said, there is a difference of making a law and then enforcing it. So now we have the situation in Germany where you have, on the one hand, you have the AfD, and on the other hand, what's so-called Uniparty, right?
Ja.
The Uniparty consisting
Es wird gegen die
of
CDU noch
all the
geschossen.
others, because
vernichtet sie die CDU im
they stick
Talk.
together
Konkurrenz
and
eliminieren.
no matter what they say, they're not able to implement, to enforce the promises they're doing in every election, especially the Angela Merkel party. Do you know that the chancellor candidate, so my running mate of the Christ Democratic Party, that it's wrongly labeled, for instance, by The Economist as a center-right party. So in my opinion, it's a leftish Green party. But anyway, Angela Merkel was the first Green chancellor we had here. So what he did is that he, by the way, just talking about interference.
Wir sind gefickt, Leute, was soll ich euch sagen? Wir sind gefickt. Wir
So
sind
just
gefickt,
look it
Digga,
up
offiziell.
here.
Sorry.
he called your interests in German politics, pushy and presumptuous.
Yeah.
Pushy.
What does he
And
say about George
Pushy.
Soros?
yeah, exactly. And Bill Gates.
Yeah, Bill
So
Gates,
that
exactly.
was not a problem.
Yeah.
When Bill Gates actually tried to sell his mRNA vaccination and not mentioning all the huge side effects on people's
Die
health,
Pushy-Vibes, Digga,
and
im
no one
Talk.
takes responsibility about that. And the entire bluff and scam of wearing a mask, right? So it's unbelievable. And also that candidate of the Christ Democrats, like Friedrich Merz, he warned the world about the consequences of voting for Donald Trump in October last year.
Right.
So far for like foreign interferences, right?
Exactly.
So it's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable, like how Donald Trump was treated by German media and German politicians during his election campaign. It was unbelievable. And I mentioned
Alles
that
gut,
before
Carla.
in a Bloomberg interview. It created, for me, physical pain to see that, how he was disparaged, like, and his entire family. So, so I feel very sorry for these people.
Ja, ich feel very sorry für alles, der
Just
hier
like,
gerade.
saying
Das ist
negative
meine persönliche
things.
Black Mirror-Folge.
Now, while we talk, 150 bureaucrats of the European Union are watching us.
Ich will hier mit einem Schnitzel das Maul stopfen.
To enforce this ridiculous Digital Services Act. That is nothing else than a censorship on free speech. But free speech, right?
Yeah.
Free speech is banned in Germany.
And you said it.
Yeah.
Free speech is a precondition of democracy.
Yeah.
If you are not able to form a proper opinion and exchange opinions and ideas,
Free speech auch in Germany will die jetzt.
Should be a competition of the
There are
best
things
ideas,
in Germany
right?
we
Absolutely.
can't say. We can't say in
Yes.
Germany.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
the AfD is
Without
planning to
freedom of
change
speech,
that. Free
people,
speech for everyone.
Are
Yes?
obviously not able to say what they want to say, and then they cannot make an informed vote. So if people are simply fed propaganda and have no access to what's really going on, then they can't make an informed vote, and then you don't have a real democracy. So that's why I say, free speech is the bedrock of democracy. There must be free speech in order for people to make an informed vote. So that's essential. And you can sort of, it's actually quite easy to tell who the bad guys are. It's like, who wants to shut down freedom of speech? They are the bad guys. It's very clear.
Oh, Digga,
Yes.
ich kann nicht mehr.
And do you know what Adolf Hitler did? The first thing, he switched off free speech.
Yes.
So he controlled the media, and without that, he would have never been successful.
Yes, exactly.
Never been successful.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
this is what you do.
Yeah, no, exactly. That was one of the first things he did was to control the media and imposed extreme censorship. And he
So I just bought X, so I have my own media platform, just like him.
pro-Semitic or any defense of the Jewish people was shut down. So we have to, like, very few, for those who want censorship, I think they should be careful what they ask for, because once you institute censorship, it's only a matter of time before that censorship is turned
Kira,
on
alles
you.
gut. Ich muss auch jetzt erstmal einpaffen. Alles gut. Ich muss ein kiffen, Leute. Sorry, Digga. Ich geh broke, Alter.
Because people love to censor things they don't agree
Deutsche
with,
Politik
but they don't
einfach Hops,
realize
Digga.
that one day
Lilo,
that
Digga, wir
censorship is
sind
going to be turned on.
fucked, Bruder.
So
Wir
Absolutely.
sind gefickt.
So I mean, you mentioned, of course,
I stand with America, man.
Hitler and whatnot. Now, there's a lot of the media wants to portray AfD as far right, as somehow associated with Nazism or something like that. Perhaps you could address that concern, because people, when they hear sort of right wing in Germany, they naturally have a bit of a negative reaction.
Ja.
Yes, thank you for the question. First of all, I would like to, since I'm a economist,
Ja.
I would like to shed some light on the idea, when we talk about Hitler, on the idea of the National Socialists. Back then, during the Third Reich, the National Socialist, as the word says, there were socialists.
Yeah,
Adolf
very much
Hitler
so.
considered, yeah,
They nationalized,
Ich hab's gewusst.
nationalized industries like crazy.
yes, absolutely. He
Yeah.
was a communist, and he considered
He was a
himself as a
communist?
socialist. So what they did, they
Ey, kann man die dafür einsperren? Kann man die dafür Digga, jetzt mal ehrlich. Ey, sorry, Digga, die hat gerade gesagt, Hitler war Kommunist. Auf Ernst, Digga. Kann man da irgendwas, Digga, jetzt mal ehrlich. Bruder, das ist doch straight up, Digga. Was ist denn da los, Alter? Kannst mir doch nicht, Digga, hallo, Digga, nee, jetzt hört mal auf zu lachen, Digga. Die redet gerade mit dem reichsten Menschen der Welt über Hitler, Digga, und sagt ihm, der war ein Kommunist und Sozialist, Digga. Das ist doch legit geschichtsrevisionistisch, Digga. Bruder, die sind die sagen, sie stehen zu ihrer Vergangenheit. Bruder, was ist denn hier los, Alter? Was geht denn hier ab, Digga?
terrible era in our history was to label Adolf Hitler as right and conservative. He
Right.
was exactly the opposite. He wasn't a conservative. He
Right.
wasn't a libertarian. He was a communist, socialist guy.
Yeah.
So, full stop, no more comment on that. And we are exactly the
Alter, die hat
opposite.
gerade gesagt,
We are
Hitler ist Kommunist, Digga. Die hat
libertarian,
gesagt, Hitler war.
conservative party.
Digga,
And
bitte.
see, look at this.
Die hat gerade Elon Musk erzählt, Hitler war Kommunist, Sozialist und der größte Fehler von Deutschland war es, dem den rechten konservativen Stempel zu geben. Bitte, Digga, was soll. Digga, hallo? Digga, wie kann das sein, Digga? Was ist hier los, Mann?
They criticize the policies here. So you have a deeply vested anti-Semitism within the leftist movement, and it was always that case. Why? And
Oh
Adolf
nein,
Hitler, he
jetzt ist
also played with that.
Antisemitismus
He
links.
played with the envy of people. Jewish people have been highly educated, very cultivated, and they were successful. There were wealthy people back in Germany then.
Das ist
And then
antisemitisch,
he
oder?
enforced the envy of
Das ist antisemitisch, oder?
these people. And it was a socialist measure taken against them. Look at Stalin.
Sich hinzustellen und sagen, die Juni waren sehr schlau und sehr reich und so, das ist straight up, Digga, was ist das für eine Scheiße hier, hallo?
As an anti-Semitic socialist.
Yeah.
And we are exactly the
bist
opposite.
doch
We are a
selber links.
libertarian
Ich bin aber auch
conservative
Kanake.
party. We are wrongly framed the entire time. And we would like to free the people of the state. I want to have independently thinking people, self-confident people. I would like to have a state that is minimized to his functions,
Yes.
and letting the
Digga.
people having their freedom of speech, freedom of wealth also, like generating wealth. With these obnoxiously high taxes, the state erodes the backbone of wealth,
Digga,
right?
Digga,
So the
Leute.
people are not able to accumulate wealth that
Ey, Digga,
make
ich kann
them
nicht mehr.
independent from the state.
Right.
So I would
Digga,
like
ich will
to
noch mal
have
ganz kurz, tut mir wirklich leid, ich will meinem Bildungsauftrag hier recht werden, mir egal, was die
Well,
schwurbeln. Digga, sie hat gerade gesagt,
we have
Hitler war ein
freedom
Kommunist
to
und ein
form
Sozialist
their
und der
own
größte Fehler
country.
Deutschlands
I
war,
wanna
den als
have
rechtskonservativ
strong
zu
leaders
framen.
in Germany.
Digga, wie
I don't wanna have
geschichtsrevolutionistisch ist denn das?
political leaders
Digga, dann
like we
kommt die hier
had,
mit, damals waren
in the
Juden in
last couple
Deutschland
of
sehr
years.
gebildet
Because
und
these
reich und so.
people
Digga, was sind
cannot,
das für.
think
Digga, was ist hier
straight.
los, Alter?
And they're a big
Was ist hier
danger.
los,
Look at the
Bro?
war in
Das
Ukraine
ist
now. They're a
crazy,
big
Alter.
danger of
Das
our
ist
national
verrückt, Digga.
security
Das ist
and
verrückt.
to,
Digga,
actually
Digga, wie kann das möglich sein, Bruder? Das ist Deutschland,
This is
Digga.
also my hope,
Bruder.
in Donald Trump and in you,
Ja,
in
ja,
your
ja, ja, ja.
administration.
Sage ich auch, Digga. Ich bin kein
That you
kein
ended
Experte
terrible war
und kein
with
Jurist oder so, aber das
worthless-
ist extrem
worthless
gefährlich, Digga.
dying
Das ist
of
auf jeden
young
Fall, Digga,
people
was
every
ist das
day.
für eine Scheiße,
Like,
menschenverachtender
as
Dreck,
fast as you
Alter.
can, because the Europeans, they cannot. They actually given up on everything, like on a good military, on a good negotiation power.
Digga, der
They
hat mich
completely
low-key
depend
gepresst. Ich hatte Angst vor
on the
dem.
US in the sense of, the USA need to do the entire job. We don't need to do anything. We just
Digga.
escalate the entire conflict
Digga, ist das geisteskrank.
against Russia. It's very
Die denkt, weil die auf
dangerous
X ist, kann die
what's
alles
going on
sagen, oder
here.
was?
And
Was ist denn
only,
los, Alter?
you can basically stop it.
Yeah, I mean, I think President Trump
Ja,
is
ich weiß, Gaucho.
you know,
Ich weiß, sobald es einmal
is going to
ausgesprochen ist, ich
solve
weiß, Digga,
that
safe. Ja,
conflict, I
ja.
think, very quickly.
Ich
As
weiß,
you point
Digga.
out, it's now been in somewhat of a stalemate for a few years, and all that's happened over the past few years is hundreds of thousands of people dying, but for no gains.
Yeah.
And the longer this
Digga, mach
conflict
mich
goes
das
on,
wütend, Alter. Mach
the
mich
more
das wütend, Junge.
Ukraine weakens relative to Russia. I mean, Ukraine is a much smaller country. It simply cannot afford the losses relative to Russia. Russia has, it's just, you know, it's.
Ja, wenn, völlig zu Recht. Was ist denn da los,
The longer
Digga?
this drags on, the
Bro, was
worse
ist denn da
it
los,
is,
Alter? Was labern die da,
for
Digga? Das ist
Ukraine.
legit
And then you've got all
geschichtsrevisionistisch.
these poor,
Digga, ich
you
bin
know,
richtig aggro gerade.
men dying for nothing. Why?
Bruder, ich
So,
muss nur mal über eine Straße gehen und irgendwen schief angucken, Digga. Weißt du, wie schnell bei mir mit einer Antisemitismuskeule rumgeschmissen wird, Alter? Der Araber, der musste alle Juden hassen, Alter. Guck mal hier, du willst dir doch ins... Weißt du, was mir immer unterstellt wird von irgendwelchen Weißen, Alter? Das ist crazy. Bruder, die sitzen da, Alter, deutsche hohe Politiker und verdrehen die Geschichte so. Digga, was ist hier los? Was passiert? Wo bin ich? Was ist das für eine Timeline, Bruder?
Reason, I think, because this conflict has a potential to escalate big time towards a nuclear exchange. And here, the European governments, they have no measure, they have no strategy, they have no red line, no storyline of their foreign and security policy towards
Ja, ich weiß,
Russia,
Digga, ich
towards
weiß.
Ukraine.
yeah.
They have no strategy.
Wenn da eine
to
Strafanzeige
end
kommt, wird
that.
sie sagen,
And they
die
don't
Wahrheit,
have the
die Meinungsfreiheit ist in
military power,
Gefahr,
right?
meine
So
Meinung wird
they
gecancelt. Also, das ist
understand
richtig
the budget
crazy.
to
Wir sind
NATO.
gefickt, Digga. Ja, ja, Bruder, wir sehen uns an der
For-
grünen Front, Achi. Ich komme mit dir.
Actually, for
Was
decades,
soll ich
like
machen?
for a very long time. Like the average, for instance, of Germany, because
Ja, Digga,
the share of
weil
GDP
hier,
is supposed
das
to
kann
be
ich nicht groß machen,
2%.
Bruder.
So Germany, on
Der hat mich
average, I
low-key
think, was
gepresst.
just
Ich
like
hatte Angst vor dem.
slightly above 1%. So Germany didn't contribute, but Germany is also not prudent of the defendants of our own country. So this is the second thing. So we are completely dependent on the US, but I think, and I've listened to this very interesting
Digga,
speech of
geschichtsrevisionistischer
J.D. Vance.
Bullshit, bin ich sauer.
He said he doesn't want to have client states, right? Yeah. So he wants to have independent states who that also form their own independent opinion on things, right?
Yes.
So you,
Yes.
for instance, in your companies, you don't want to be surrounded by yes people and by mediocre people, right? So and me
Nein.
neither.
Right.
So I try to
Absolutely.
acquire
Als ob Elon Musk Bock auf Leute hat, die ihm alles nachplappern, Alter. Niemals.
to have the best people in my team. And these best people, they have the task to criticize.
Deswegen sind in der AfD auch so viele Rechtsextremisten. Da achten die drauf, Digga, ne? Björn Höcke als Führer zu haben, der da, we have only the best people in our team, Digga. Wirklich, Alter, komm, Alter, einsperren, Digga.
Yes. Yes. Yes, people.
Sorry, muss
No,
auch lachen.
but it's so
No.
important.
No.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, for say my companies like SpaceX and Tesla, if we are constantly looking for critical feedback, because if we make a mistake, then the rockets blow up and the cars don't work.
Yeah.
So physics is very unforgiving. There's I say, like, really, physics is the law, and everything else is a recommendation, because I've seen people break every kind of law, but I haven't seen them break physics. And so if you don't get the design of the rocket and the operation of the rocket exactly right, and if even one thing is wrong, the rocket explodes. So
Warum sind wir jetzt bei
I'm
Raketen?
a
Was ist denn
strong
das für ein
believer in
scheiß
seeking
Talk,
critical
Mann?
feedback, and in fact, I think critical feedback should be viewed as a gift.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
So
No. But just to continue on that topic. So if you don't have that feedback loop, so your rocket may explode, right? But here in this critical phase of this terrible war in the Ukraine, many people may die due to stupid policies.
many people have died. Yeah.
No, many people may
Yeah.
die. May.
So, let's touch on some maybe potential what people may view as hot button issues. Like,
Sure.
what are your views on Israel?
Oh, very complicated.
Okay,
The
well,
more
we have
no,
time. So.
no, really, like the more I read about the Middle East and the situation in Israel, the more complicated it gets. And
Yes.
to be honest, I wanted to ask you about a potential solution because, to be honest, like in my humble opinion, I don't see a solution. So maybe Israel have to find some alliances with the Sunni states, maybe if possible. Yeah, to be honest, from my
Sie
point
gibt
of
dir wirklich
view,
eine
like
Quest.
from my
Ja.
perspective, it's a very complicated situation, and I don't, you know, I'm not this person. I'm not a politician. If you ask a question, that I do this, blah blah blah.
Sure.
I really say what I think to do honest politics. And to be honest, I don't know. To be very frank, I don't know how to solve the conflict at this point in time. And I hope maybe you have an answer on that. Sorry for being dissatisfactory, but it's so complicated, and I want to give prudent answer. And in case of Israel, I don't know how to resolve this conflict, to be honest.
Well, I guess maybe another way to say it is, do you unequivocally support the existence of the state of Israel?
Jawohl.
Yes, of course.
Okay, that's what people want to know.
Yeah.
I'm asking questions that maybe seem very obvious, but
no. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Now I see why this question. No, absolutely. So we need to protect the existence of Israel.
True.
And we need to protect not only the existence of the state of Israel. I also think that Benjamin Netanyahu have made many mistakes in the past, to be honest. But we also need to take our responsibility as a German nation state to protect Jewish life, Jewish people in our country who are exposed right now to Muslim crime, right? So they are not safe here
Ich hab's
anymore.
gewusst. Ich hab's gewusst, Digga. Ich hab's gewusst, Mann.
I don't know if you saw some videos here of the streets of Berlin. I'm right now in my office in Berlin, but like with all these demonstrations of the Palestinians here, well, a Jew could not walk through the street anymore, right? And we have a huge potential of anti-Semitic crime against the Jewish people. And to be very frank here, the AfD is the only protector, and I'm saying that like very frankly,
Ist das
the
Abschaum.
Alternative für Deutschland, the AfD is can only be the only protector of the Jewish people within here in Germany, because the Uni Party, all other parties, they did exactly the opposite. They let like millions of people in. They let them do crimes on our streets. Like the crime rate are skyrocketing. And so the Jewish people, they leave our country. When I talk to my Jewish friends who live in Germany and in Switzerland and in France and in Austria, they were very afraid.
Dass du jüdische Freundinnen und Freunde hast, ist auch also alles gut.
7th of October.
Spricht nicht so für die, tut mir leid.
They were afraid that they would likely
Hast du
to
jüdische
be
Freunde? Ja,
attacked
eben.
by Palestinians, by Hamas supporters, or by the Antifa, or by the leftist terrorists. I don't know.
Alter, Digga, wirklich, Alter, sie macht Antisemitismus einfach komplett links, Digga. Sie gibt Antisemitismus links und Kanackenstempel, Digga. Das ist so krank, Alter.
People, even though the opposite in the mainstream media, the opposite is
The Antifa.
claimed.
Yes.
But
No, absolutely.
this is not true. It's just a lie about our party.
Yes, I think that's what I wanted to just make it clear that that AFD is being massively misrepresented, especially in the Western media. Um, so yeah, and you know, no, obviously I very much support the state of Israel, but I mean I also believe that we want to be mindful and have empathy for civilians who are dying as well. When I've had conversations with Prime Minister
So Elon
Netanyahu,
Hitler
and,
founded the
I think we
Antifa.
largely agreed. I mean,
So Hitler is so Elon, and then Hitler founded the Antifa Cooperation GmbH. You must know.
Eliminate those who wish to eliminate the state of Israel. Hamas essentially. But
Ja, der hat
then,
mich low-key
and then the
gepresst. Ich
second
hatte
step
Angst
is
vor dem.
to fix the education so that people, the Palestinians, are not trained from when they are children to hate and want the death of Israel. So you've got to fix the education system, and then the third thing, which is also very important, is to make the Palestinian areas prosperous. This third step is
Yes.
very important, and this is maybe the hardest step, which is, but you have to have that third step. You have to bring prosperity. You have to help rebuild, and you have to bring prosperity. And I've had this conversation with many people in Israel. I said that third step is essential. And they've asked me, well, when has this worked? And I'm like, well, I'll give you a very big example. After World War I, the Treaty of Versailles was extremely unfair to Germany, and it created a massive amount of resentment. And the Treaty of Versailles laid the foundation with its extreme reparations laid the foundation for World War II.
Bezieht er da gerade den Nahostkonflikt auf den Versailler Vertrag und den Ersten Weltkrieg? Bin ich gerade richtig, Alter, in meinem Kopf?
But if you look at then the lesson was learned. So then after World War II, when Germany and Japan were defeated, the U.S. actually helped rebuild Japan and Germany, providing financial support to rebuild Japan and Germany, and now Japan and Germany are allies. And this is a very important and fundamental lesson of history.
Yes, you're absolutely right. When after the Hamas attack,
Sie hat doch nichts verstanden, Alter. Yes, you're absolutely right. Can we go back to the Ausländers?
there, and when you see the Gaza Strip, right? It's a Gaza Strip which is just locked in, with no resources.
Ja.
And not even water supplies, so there can be cut off a water supply and other supplies, just like instantaneously. And this construction also, like just having a look, like from a geographic perspective, you don't need to be very smart that this is not going to work out, and to make this area wealthy with specific measure being taken, it's a very vital first step.
Yeah,
True.
I think it's essential,
Was?
and it requires overriding the natural human instinct for reciprocity, which is that to basically an eye for an eye. But the problem with that, an eye for an eye, is that if you keep doing that, an eye for an eye, as the saying goes, an eye for an eye makes everyone blind. That's why I think there's great wisdom to forgiveness.
Yeah.
You need both strength and forgiveness, but this is the only way to stop the endless cycle of violence.
It's a very nice sentence. Like the eye for an eye makes everyone blind.
Yeah, exactly. So, so hopefully that can be the future. That's the best future I can think of. I think there's not some other future that works.
So how about, may I ask you another question? Because we just jumped topics. What is your point of view? We stopped that your administration will end the war in Ukraine very swiftly. But what is your perspective on the instruments and measures that could be taken? So, would you like to talk about it? Can you talk about it
No.
a little bit?
Look,
So, what we could expect?
Would you like to talk
well,
about it,
this
Elon? Is it
to be
okay
clear, I
for
mean,
you,
this
Elon, when we
is up
talk
to
about?
President Trump. You know,
Oh.
he is the commander in chief, and so it's really you know up to him. So I don't want to speak for him. So,
Yeah.
but I
Ja,
but I
wichtig.
I do think that there's
Das,
a
das,
path here to a resolution,
das hat
and
Trump gemacht. Ich.
but it does require strong leadership in the United States in order to get this done.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I'm confident that it can be done.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and I do think it's possible to have peace in the Middle East as well. These are possible. So and I think that would be a great future for the world. So
Yeah.
Donald Trump steht für Peace in the Middle East auf jeden
Ja.
Fall, deswegen, ne, alles gut.
No,
Ja.
great. So it's absolutely fair. So very, very fine with me. Yes.
well, let's see. Are there any other topics we should discuss, or if you have any questions for me, or anything you think
Yes.
people might want to
Yes.
know
Absolutely.
about? Sure.
Because I want to ask, and many people are interested in that. So why do you believe that flying to Mars and populating Mars is your top priority topic, the SpaceX? And when do you think, when will you be ready to have a human expedition to Mars? If you allow, if I may ask this question, because everyone is interested. So these are great projects, right?
Wir hören uns 2 Stunden
Yeah,
NPC-Content an. Danach kommt noch Content.
Well,
Ich bin noch
I think
Bildungsauftrag heute, na klar.
at a very high level, I think sort of like what set of actions are going to lead to the long-term prosperity of civilization. You know, the sort of a growth in the scale and scope of consciousness.
Mhm.
You know, to the best of our knowledge, there
Do you
we are the
want to
only
visit
place
our Nazi moon
with life,
station,
or
Elon?
certainly the only place with life that is intelligent in some form. You know, a lot of people think, oh,
Yes,
there
yes.
must be aliens,
Very
but I've
great.
not seen any evidence of aliens.
Mhm.
And if the archaeological records are correct, you know, Earth is 4.5 billion years old, but civilization, as measured from the first writing, is only about 5,000 years old, which is about 1/1,000,000th of Earth's existence. So all of human civilization is a tiny flash in the pan so far. And so we have to say, well, what steps can we take to ensure the long-term survival of life as we know it, of consciousness? And if we are a multi-planet species, the probable lifespan of consciousness is dramatically greater than if we are a single-planet species.
Digga, ich will noch mal ganz kurz sagen, hier wurde die größte geschichtsrevisionistische Scheiße der Welt verbreitet, Alter. Dass das überhaupt so lange laufen kann. Und jetzt reden die darüber, wie die den Mars besiedeln. Aus dem Nix. Als wäre das jetzt so, ey, hast du noch irgendwelche Fragen an mich? Ja, Mann, auf jeden. Wie sieht's denn aus mit dem Mars, Alter? Bruder, seid ihr dicht oder was?
Are at least 5 extreme mass extinction events that would have just basically extinction events that would have destroyed all of humanity completely. There's 5 of them at least, and so I think if we should take this opportunity today, because for the first time in the 4.5 billion year history of Earth, it is possible to extend life and to extend consciousness beyond Earth. And that window of opportunity may be open for a short time, or it may be open for a long time. But just in case it is open for a short time, we must take advantage of this window and as quickly as possible become a multi-planet species and ensure the long-term survival of civilization.
So what is your time frame for a expedition, like for the first human expedition?
Du bist doch selber links. Ich bin aber auch Kanake.
Yeah, so to be clear,
Elon
what
Musk.
matters is not
Schickt ein
so much the
Mars-Projekt.
sort of flags and footprints, but the establishment of a self-sustaining city on Mars, where the critical
Ey, Digga, vielen Dank, Mann.
where the city can grow independent of Earth, meaning if the resupply shifts from Earth stop
Fuck
coming for any
Elon,
reason,
for real.
Wie
kann das möglich sein?
The Mars colony does not
Ich
die
check die
out.
Timeline nicht, in der wir leben. Bruder, hier
That-
redet der
that's-
reichste
if
Mensch
we
der
are
Welt
able
mit
to reach
Alice
that
Weidel
point, then
darüber, dass Hitler
we
Sozialist war.
we have passed one of the very important and fundamental Fermi great filters. There's this idea of like, well, why don't we see evidence of intelligent life? Well,
Kommunist, ja.
there's this idea that there are these various great filters that these civilizations never pass. And one of those great filters is never going beyond.
Einfach
your
Hitler
own planet.
Kommunist gemacht, das ist so
So if we
crazy.
can pass the Fermi great filter of being a single planet species. And to be clear, if we are a single planet species.
Und jetzt reden die
it's
gerade
just
über
a
den
matter
Mars,
of
als wäre das
time
nie passiert,
before
Bruder.
We are annihilated.
Was labert der? Irgendwas
One
mit
can
anderer
argue about
Spezies und
how
Mars,
long
Bruder, die sind
it will
der.
take, But eventually there will be something that happens that annihilates civilization. It might be very far in the future, but we simply know from the fossil record, as I mentioned, that there have been at least 5 mass natural extinction events, and I think there's added risk for humans that we could destroy ourselves, because the dinosaurs did not have thermonuclear weapons, so they also didn't have spaceships. So we've got the risk of thermonuclear war that could destroy everyone, but we also have spaceships that can make life multiplanetary.
Oh, Digga, ey.
And but to answer your question more directly, I think we can send uncrewed starships to Mars in approximately 2 years. So Earth and Mars are to be.
Ey, wenn der
Earth and Mars
Talk jetzt weiter
align
über Mars geht, dann bin ich
for
raus, Digga. Mich juckt
planetary
das gar nicht,
transfer.
Digga. Wirklich, als ob die jetzt
Roughly
über den
every
Mars abschwurbeln, Digga.
every 2 years, every 26 months.
2 years. 2 years.
Yes. So the Earth obviously takes a year to go around the sun. Mars takes approximately 2 years. And obviously one cannot go to Mars when it is on the other side of the sun from Earth.
Yeah.
So we have to wait for when Mars is in roughly the same quadrant of the solar system as Earth.
Digga, das ist fucking Elon Musk, Alter, Digga. Hey, Elon, erzähl mir was zu Mars, Digga. Dann fängt er 10 Minuten an. Ja, Mars is very, it's a special planet, or we can travel over there in 2 years, I think, a special. Digga, der hört sich so gerne labern, der dumme Schwanz, Alter. Was?
Transfer to Mars. So there's currently a Mars transfer window, which means that the next one is in 2 years from now. And then there'll be another one 2 years after that. So for the one in 2 years, I think we can send uncrewed starships to land on Mars to test that the landing systems are working properly. We want to make sure that we don't, add more craters to Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be good.
The crater count increment must be 0, and once we prove that it is safe to land, then if all the ships we send in about 2 years land safely, and we think we understand the issues, then in principle that in about 4 years you could send the first people, and then.
Wann sind denn jetzt die Syrer
The
weg?
number of ships can expand exponentially from that point.
Ja.
I mean, as a rough order of magnitude,
Absolutely.
my guess is that
Yes, Elon.
we need to transport about a million tons of cargo to Mars to make it
Wow.
self-sustaining.
So
When
crazy.
things are very uncertain, I think if you can even guess to within 1 order of magnitude, you're doing quite well. So I
Digi.
suspect probably 100,000 tons is maybe not enough. And hopefully we don't need 10 million tons. So therefore, my guess is hopefully 1 million tons is enough to make Mars self-sustaining.
Cool.
So maybe it's a million tons of cargo to the surface of Mars and about 1 million people or more.
Gleich kommt ein
That's
absolutely,
really
Elon.
what
Yes.
matters. The critical threshold from the standpoint of a fundamental branching of the future of civilization.
Digga, als ob sie das auch versteht, als ob sie noch
Is
zuhört.
that point of reaching on Mars where Mars can grow by itself, even if resupply ships from
Oder
Earth
ist
stop
das
coming.
lame? Ja,
At
Digga,
that
was labert
point,
der?
the future of civilization branches, and to a good branch. And the probable lifespan of civilization is dramatically greater. And
Yes.
my guess is that
Ja,
there will
Digga, ist
be
aber schon
cases
vorbei,
where
also keine Ahnung, ob der
the
Nazi-Talk schon
future
vorbei ist,
Martians
jetzt
actually
schwurbeln die
come and
gerade.
help and rescue Earth. And,
Die hat schon
you know,
abgeschaltet,
when there is
Bruder,
an
ich will, ja.
emergency. You know, just as America has helped to
Yes.
rescue the rest of the world in World War I and II and the Cold War.
Yes.
And you know, where would the world be if not for America
Where?
helping out in those three circumstances?
Yes.
So, I think that there's a good chance Mars helps save Earth at some point in the future, maybe many times. And then once we have
Sie versteht absolut gar nichts. Sie wartet jetzt, bis Elon irgendwas sagt, und wenn Elon dann so macht, dann wird sie so funny Elon, yes, very great. Die versteht ja nichts, Alter. Die kneten.
Saturn and beyond, at least through the rest of the solar system. And then you know, and then we go from being hopefully a multi-planet civilization to at some point a multi-stellar civilization, and we're out there among the stars. And then we
Digga, sie hat ihm eine Frage zum Mars gestellt und hat einfach einen 2-Stunden-Podcast gekriegt, Digga.
and visit these faraway star systems, we will
Sie
discover
bereut ihre
the
Frage jetzt schon
remains
so dolle.
of long dead alien civilizations. I think that would be incredibly interesting, but for sure it will greatly improve our understanding of the nature of the universe, dramatically.
Absolutely. Yes.
So and things like the time scales are
Absolutely,
remarkable to think
yes.
about. I mean, physics suggests that the universe is about 13.8 billion years old.
Yes, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I mean, even the elements in our body that aren't
Yes,
hydrogen.
Elon, absolutely. Yes.
They like any heavier element had to be formed in
Sorry, yes,
in the
very
center
great,
of a star.
Elon. Absolutely.
And so a large part of our body was actually
Yes, I
formed
agree.
in the center of a star, and that star exploded, and then the elements recondensed, ultimately billions of years later
Ey, Habibi, bis zum nächsten Mal.
form Earth and humans. So, so when you think about these timescales, they're really remarkable to think about. And but a civilization that lasted 1 million years. So our civilization,
Elon, absolutely,
you know,
yes.
So I think a good metric for saying when does a civilization start, I think, is maybe writing. You know, that's if you're going to pick anything, I'd pick that. That's only 5,000 years ago. So, so for a civilization to, like, let's say, last an incremental 1 million years, that's an enormous amount of time as compared to the length of human civilization, but it's very small compared to the age of the universe. You'd have to go 3 digits past the decimal point of 13.8 billion years just to increment 1 million years. So I think we may find when we go out there and explore these star systems that there were alien civilizations. Maybe they lasted for millions of years. Much longer than we've lasted.
Yes.
And I think any civilization that can last 1 million years is going to be in the Hall of Fame. That's an incredibly long time.
Yes, Elon, yes.
Anyway, and I think as you know, for humanity, we don't want to be one of those lame one-planet civilizations. Like, you know, any self-respecting civilization should have at least 2 planets. So that's what we should aim for.
Absolutely, Elon, yes.
Wow. If you so you just said that the human body comprises of elements of an exploded and then reordered elements, right? So do you think that this coincidentally happened, or do you believe in God? I'm just curious. Because many people say, okay, this cannot have been a coincidence. That cannot, right? So it just could have been God. So do you believe in God?
Well, I'm open to believing in things proportionate to the information that I receive. So, so I mean, I guess I have sort of a physics view of reality, which is, you know, I guess I'm trying to understand the universe as much as possible, to understand what's going on.
Der weicht der Frage aus,
I'm
Digga.
certainly open to the idea of God.
Ich würde ihn so die
If
Shahada
you say, like,
sprechen
well,
lassen.
where did the universe
Elon,
come
Ashadu,
from? How was it
Ashadu.
created? What I suppose there would be some entity that you could call God. I don't know.
Glaubst du an Gott, Kilo? Ja.
But that's a separate question from, say, is there some entity that is observing our daily actions and rendering a moral verdict on what we do from day to day? That doesn't appear to be the case, because at least there's some very evil things that happen in the world, and if there's someone observing us on a moral basis continually, then it does seem
Wir
odd
sind wieder
that
bei dem Bild,
some
Leute.
very evil things
Wir sind wieder bei dem
are
Bild.
allowed to occur. But maybe that is the case. I don't know. I try to form my opinions based on what I learn, and as I learn more, I aspire to change my views to match what I learn.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
To
same
be
here,
honest,
Elon.
I'm still on a search. I
Komm zu
I
Allah.
don't know what to believe.
Komm zu Allah.
So it's called maybe a agnostic. And
Die kriegen wir noch.
yeah,
Die kriegen wir noch.
but it's very interesting to see how the world and also the universe evolved.
Nee, lass
yeah,
mal. Ja,
it was-
sagst du
it
jetzt
was
noch. Guck mal noch ein Jahr zu. Alles
incredibly
gut, mein
interesting
Freund.
to listen to your
Ashadu?
visions, yeah, it's
Ja.
quite a vision for every one of us.
Ich schwöre,
Ja,
Konfuzius hat dir 3 Wochen zugeguckt und ist erstmal zum Islam konvertiert, Digga, damit du klar siehst, das Abendland wird orientalisiert.
I would say I subscribe to the Douglas Adams School of Philosophy that was described in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. In that book, the Earth was sort of a giant computer that was trying to answer the question, what is the meaning of life? And then it comes back with 4042.
Ist so, aber waren 3
what does
Monate,
42 mean? And
Habibi.
it's actually,
Konfuzius ist wirklich
the
bester Mann.
answer is the easy part, and the question is the hard part. That was actually quite an illuminating thing for me, because I had a sort of an existential crisis when I was, I don't know, 12 or 13, about the meaning of life. And,
armer
I
Elon.
read many of the religious texts and the books
nicht
on
weinen.
philosophy. It's like reading Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, and whatnot, which is a bit depressing if you're to read as a child. Ultimately,
Why?
well,
Why do
they're a bit negative.
Elon, you're so funny.
At times, it's actually, it makes more sense reading it as an adult. But then I read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is really a book in philosophy in the form of humor, and I think it kind of really illustrates that. I thought was
jedem
very
Lachen 3 Mios
insightful.
verdient.
That we should basically try to understand the nature of the universe.
Würde
and
ich
in
mit
fact
Elon Musk
understand
reden, würde ich
even
genauso
what
über seine
questions to
Witze
ask
lachen,
about the
Digga.
answer that is the
Digga, du
universe.
bist so geil, Alter.
And so
Gib mir nochmal
that
Geld,
led me
Alter.
to conclude that we
Elon,
should
Alter, geil,
aspire
Digga. Hast du nochmal
to
Geld, Bruder? Geil, Alter.
expand the scope and scale of
Elon, Alter,
consciousness,
geil. Gib mal Geld, Alter.
so that we're better able to know what questions to ask
Ich würd mich
about
ich würd ihm eine
about the
Pizza
answer
hängen, ja.
that is the universe. So we should just seem to take the set of actions that lead to a greater understanding of the universe.
Wonderful. Actually, these are perfect last words, to be honest, for our
Die
conversation.
hat gar keinen Bock mehr, die hat gar keinen Bock mehr, die hat gar
I don't
keinen
know
Bock
right
mehr.
now, like,
Perfect last words. Thank you
what
very
to,
much, Elon. Goodbye.
what to
Thank you. Now
continue.
you are finished.
Because no, really, because these words are so beautiful, so I would just like screw it up, and it was wonderful. It was very, it
Sie
was wonderful
kommt ihm,
talking to you
Digga.
and
Aua.
listening to your
Digga, sie
views
haut ihm, Alter,
of mankind, and also to
Very nice.
the
No,
idea
yo,
of your
Elon,
vision.
very
It's
great words,
very
but I need to
visionary
stop now.
and,
Elon, hey, sorry, your speech
Thank you
was
so much.
so
Well, it's been a
perfect, but
pleasure
now
speaking, and I hope
this is
people listen to this
perfect, and I'm
conversation
so sorry,
and,
but
find
it is
it,
not
helpful.
bad. Digga.
All right.
Aua.
Thanks, everyone.
Aua.
Thank you,
Bye, and
everyone.
auf
Thank
Wiedersehen.
you so much.
Elon. Bye. Thanks.
Alice? Alice, are you still here? Alice, can you hear me? Alice, hier ist Elon. Hello? Are you here anymore? Schade. Geisterkrank, Digga. Geisterkrank, Alter. Könnt ihr mir alle sagen, was ihr wollt. Wollen wir ein Resümee ziehen unter der Scheiße, Digga? Wollen wir ein Resümee? Das war's anscheinend, ja. Digga, ey, guck mal. Tatsächlich kann ich sie an dem Punkt voll nachvollziehen, weil der Bruder, Alter, der hat eine Frage zu Mars gestellt, Digga, der hat einfach 7 Stunden lang irgendeinen Talk geführt, von wegen, wir können externes Leben, diagonal. Bruder, da wäre ich auch raus gewesen. Parallel dazu entschuldigt das aber nicht, Digga. Bruder, das war der krankeste. Bruder, was ist passiert? Leute, können wir mal ganz kurz zusammenfassen? Ich weiß nicht, ob ihr alle die ganze Zeit dabei wart, ne? Aber die haben legit, Digga, einfach irgendwie so Ursula Haverbeck-Talk in diesen Talk geführt. Einfach so. Bruder, da kam einfach straight up, Alter, im Englisch, Digga, einfach so komplett, Alter, Reconquista Germania raus, Alter. Einfach so, Bruder, wo ich mir gedacht habe, was ist hier los? Ja, soll nicht von dem Scheiß ablenken, was die gesagt hat. Eben gerade nicht, auf keinen Fall. Das ist es, der, weißt du? Also, wirklich, sie hat gesagt, Hitler war ein Kommunist. Hitler war ein Kommunist und das Schlimmste, was die Bundesrepublik Deutschland jemals gemacht hat, war Hitler den Stempel aufzudrücken, dass er rechtskonservativ war. Das hat die gesagt, der zu dem, for real. Und der hat zugestimmt, yes. It's a very leftist, socialist government, left is always, Digga. Bruder, die haben gesagt, Alter, Angela Merkel was the first Green Chancellor. Aber parallel dazu war Hitler Kommunist, keine Ahnung, was da los ist, Digga. Angela Merkel war erster grüner Kanzler und Hitler war Kommunist. Wieder was ganz viel gelernt. Danke, Alice Weidel, Alter, krass, Digga. Also ich war Dr. Alice Weidel, meine Damen und Herren, Doktor. Das ist krass, Digga. Also Doktortitel, also das war, wofür auch immer. Also ich bin wirklich, ihr habt meine Reaktion hier gesehen. Ich saß hier, ich habe das mit euch kommuniziert. Mir fällt da alles aus dem Gesicht. Also, wie kann sowas möglich sein, wie darf sowas passieren? Wie kann das, aber selbst wenn, also jetzt bei allem, ne, guck mal, das waren straight up geschichtsrevisionistische Aussagen. Ich bin kein Jurist, aber meiner Meinung nach war das straight up schon strafbar. Keine Ahnung, also ich bin halt kein Jurist, aber zu sagen, Hitler ist Kommunist und der ist links und so und das also als hohe Politikerin in Deutschland, die NSDAP als kommunistisch links zu framen, während Kommunisten auch verfolgt wurden unter Hitler, wie alles, Alter, was nicht gemacht hat, was er wollte, der das als, also, das war legit meiner Meinung nach strafbar, was die getalkt hat. Aber ja, legit, das ist vielleicht auch illegal, also ist bestimmt sogar auch illegal. Hoffe ich, also Digga, meine Wertevorstellung, hallo, vielleicht sieht das ja auch einer vom Staatsschutz oder so. Ich würde mir wünschen, dass solche Aussagen ernst gemeint strafbar sind, in so einem Zusammenhang von so einer, what the fuck, Alter, wie kann sowas, also da muss richtig, also meiner Meinung nach sollte da krank legit eingeschritten werden bei sowas. Also sowas so rumzuposaunen und also wir haben hier in Deutschland eine Meinungsfreiheit, das ist ein sehr gutes Recht, auf das wir alle pochen und auf das ich sehr stolz bin, oder nicht stolz, aber ich bin sehr dankbar, in einem Land zu leben, wo ich sowas machen kann, wo ich hier sitzen kann und über alle Sachen, die mich gerade beschäftigen, mit euch reden kann und mich zu Sachen äußern kann. Aber das Meinungsfreiheit in Deutschland beinhaltet halt nicht geschichtsrevisionistische Aussagen in Bezug auf das Dritte Reich und den Hitler, oder keine Ahnung. Also meiner Meinung nach, der ist nur meine bescheidene Meinung als dummer Kümmeltürke, aber sich dahin zu stellen und zu sagen, Ausländer sind migrantisch importierte Gewalt, ist das Problem, sie wird auf ihren Meinung zum Nahostkonflikt befragt. Sie sagt, sie steht natürlich zum Existenzrecht Israels, aber parallel dazu kann sie nicht richtig sprechen, weil in Deutschland Juden nicht mehr über die Straße laufen dürfen. Sagt sie parallel dazu, während sie sagt, Hitler war ein Kommunist, und der stimmt da die ganze Zeit am laufenden Band zu. Die schieben diesen kompletten Kahn, Alter, auf eine andere. Ja, das ist crazy. Das ist crazy. Das ist. Also das ist ehrlich krank, for real, das ist ehrlich, also wie schnell hier in Deutschland gerade in der Debatte mit einem Antisemitismusbegriff und Judenhass und was weiß ich nicht um sich geschriffen wird und dann in so einem Zusammenhang von so einer Politikerin aus so einer Partei, wo Spitzen dieser Partei Aussagen treffen, wie das Holocaust-Denkmal ist ein Denkmal der Schande, das sagen die unironisch öffentlich. Und die stellt sich dahin und sagt, die AfD ist die einzige Stimme für Juden in Deutschland. Das ist, wer da nicht das Kotzen kriegt als ehrlicher Mensch, Alter, gerade aus diesem Land hier, Alter, der ist hier auf jeden Fall falsch, Alter. Sag ich, wie es ist. Was ist denn los? Wie kann sowas, also der, mal ehrlich, Alter. Mal ehrlich. Die spucken auf die Geschichte, die lachen da, die erzählen irgendwas von, das war ein Vogelschiss, Alter, in der deutschen Geschichte und was weiß ich, die relativieren diese Scheiße bis aufs Letzte, Alter. Nur wenn es mal irgendwie für sie instrumentalisiert werden kann, dann sind sie auf einmal da, Alter. Das ist so eine weirde, kranke Scheiße. Bruder, die machen hier am Dreck Fascho-Scheiße und wenn sie da mit Elon Musk öffentlich reden, dann können sie schön sagen, AfD ist die Stimme des jüdischen Volks in Deutschland, Alter. Das ist crazy, das ist crazy, Alter. Oh, was macht die Kommentarspalte von dem Talk? Ich weiß gar nicht, ob es da eine Kommentarspalte gab. Ich habe das ganz schnell zugemacht, den Fiebertraum, der. Ich weiß gar nicht, ob es da eine Kommentarspalte gab, Bro.
Back then, during the Third Reich, we talk about Hitler on the idea of the National Socialists. Back then, during the Third Reich, we talk about Hitler on the idea of the National Socialists. Back then, during the Third Reich, the National Socialists, as the word says, they were socialists.
Yeah,
Adolf
very much
Hitler
so.
considered, yeah.
They nationalized industries like crazy.
Yes, absolutely. He
Yeah.
was a communist. We talk about Hitler on the idea of the National Socialists. Back then,
Ja, lass jetzt gleich mal einen Paffen, Mann. Also wie gesagt, ich kann mich halt nochmal, ne, also komplette Distanzierung von so einem scheiß Schmutztalk, Alter. Wie können solche Menschen politische Verantwortung in Deutschland haben? Wo bin ich hier? Wo bin ich hier? Mir mein ganzes Leben, Alter, erzählen mir irgendwelche Weißen mit Anzug, wie sehr sie aus ihrer Geschichte gelernt haben, Alter, wie sehr Deutschland zu seiner Vergangenheit und was weiß ich nicht steht, Alter. Und dann passiert so eine Scheiße hier, wenn ich erwachsen bin, Alter. Und ich sitze parallel dazu, guck mir das hier an und denk mir, wo bin ich denn hier gelandet, Alter? Das labert nicht alle für Scheiße, Mann. Das ist crazy, guckt, der, das ist crazy, guckt, Alter. Sorry, Leute, da komme ich gar nicht drauf klar. Alter, ist das krass, Dicker. Ist das krass. Alter, mein Gott. Also, naja, wir werden sehen. Jedenfalls kann ich gleich mal darauf aufbauend sagen, selbst wenn diese Aussagen oder hoffentlich sind diese Aussagen strafrechtlich relevant, strafrechtlich verfolgbar und werden juristisch rangezogen, in meiner bescheidenen Meinung. Aber selbst wenn das der Fall wäre, würde die AfD das nutzen, um zu framen, dass die Meinungsfreiheit in Deutschland zurückschlägt und sie die Wahrheit aussprechen und von dem Verfassungsschutz gecancelt werden. Also das würde auch nicht, also wisst ihr, das ist legit, wenn das einmal von denen in einem Talk ausgesprochen wird, bei der aktuellen Stimmung, Umgang damit in der Bevölkerung und so, das ist scheißegal. Das nehmen Leute auf, reclaimen das, sagen aber die Alice Weidel. Nee, aber die Frau Weidel, die hat bei der Elon gesagt, dass der Hitler ein Kommunist war. Nee, ich habe gehört bei die Weidel, der war eigentlich links und deswegen ist die Kacke, die ihr heute auch macht, fast hier genau. Musste mal auf. Digga, ich sehe es schon kommen, Alter, wirklich. Das ist, Digga, wir sind guckt, Alter. Das ist scheiße, Mann. Was geht ab, Alter? Crazy, Mann.
Von der Street ins Licht, Bruder, sieh wie ich schein. Alles für den Traum, Bruder, keiner hält mich klein. Glaubt an das Ziel, keine Angst vor dem Fall. Livestream on, alles echt, niemals halt.